You know, when I first picked up Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I was going in with a really negative mindset. I think we had all felt kind of burned from Sword and Shield, and I know a lot of people like that game, but as a longtime fan, it just really didn't do it for me. So going into this game, I was feeling pretty negative. The footage online just didn't really excite me, but Generation 4 had such a sweet spot in my heart. It was the games I grew up playing. So after 24 hours, yes, 3 8 to 9 hour sessions live, I finished the game. And now I want to share my opinion on the game and let you know whether or not you should pick it up yourself. Alright, dude, what is up everybody? Linklight here, and today we're gonna tear apart Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So, this kind of review, it's gonna feel like we're just hanging out, we're just chilling out. It's your good old pal Linklight, just letting you know what he thinks about the game. I didn't want to get too formal, but I do have some notes here to kind of help me, cover a lot of the points I want to. So first, we'll talk about gameplay. It is the same. If you played the original, they didn't change much, but they changed enough to where you'll be pleased. They added, non-grid movement where you can walk in circles, figure eights, you can move freely. There's no lock to like any sort of grid at all. However, if you prefer the grid style, you can use the D-pad to play like you did back in 2006. So, best of both worlds there. There also are a considerable amount of quality of life improvements that I think are all really good. Some people might not like them, but I ended up liking them. HMs are no more, so you don't need to have a Bidoof with you with 4 HMs on it and a few other Pokemon with different kinds of HMs. All HMs can be accessed whenever you want, so you can literally press A on a rock, and if you have Rock Smash, you can smash it, no questions asked. If you want to fly somewhere, you can literally open up your map, press on the city, and you fly there. It is very streamlined, and it's honestly really convenient. I'm a big fan of those changes. They even went so far with the quality of life where you can even spam buy lemonades. Dude, I'm still above 100k. No, wait, dude, they added a quality of life thing where you can just spam. No way, I don't have to reselect it every time. I was not expecting that level of quality of life, but we all know that Lemonade is a really good value in terms of money to HP healed, and just being able to spam the A button and buy a bunch of lemonades without having to go through the menu over and over again was a really welcome change. I'm not gonna lie, that was super cool. A small quality of life change I think they could have made, in fact they still could add it possibly, is being able to fast forward battles. The random encounter system is still in the game. It's not like Sword and Shield where you like see it run up to you. So random encounters feel very disruptive. I understand that it's exactly how it was back in the day, and that's completely fair, but I think in the year 2021, random encounters are kind of annoying, and being able to fast forward through the fight would be nice, considering that it takes almost a full like 10 seconds to get into the battle, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it definitely adds up over time. Overall, that's kind of like my opinion on the gameplay. I really don't have a lot of issues with it like I thought I would, but that's just the gameplay itself, right? Now we're going to talk about graphics, but as we transition into graphics, I feel like it ties into gameplay. I am very pleased with the UI of the game. I think whoever was the UX designer for the game with all the menus and the interfaces did a really good job. They all look really nice, they flow really well, you can access anything you want from anywhere, there's no having to back out and re-enter a bunch of menus like you always had to back in the day. And even like you can access your Pokemon from wherever you want via the PC, you don't have to go into a Pokemon Center. The game just feels so convenient. Alright, so graphics, mixed opinions. I am still not completely sold on the chibi art style. I'm really not. But it did grow on me. You know, walking out of the game, I don't have major issues like I did when I first saw it. My first impressions were incredibly negative, and I think a lot of people's impressions were negative as well. I'm here to say that it looks a little bit better than the trailer. I mean, you've been watching footage the whole time, but it still is chibi and it still looks a little weird. I said it on stream, I think I really would have preferred even like an Octopath Traveler art style where maybe the world is 3D, but the characters are still like pixel sprites, and maybe they could have made them a little cooler looking. That would have been a better selection, but I think what really would have worked and would have been the easiest solution is to just make it look exactly like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee did. In my opinion, I think Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are the best looking Pokemon games to date. The art style was a perfect mesh of like anime plus like, you know, classic, and I think it looked really good. I remember the colors being really vibrant, and I don't know, I just was a fan of the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee art style, and a lot of people in chat kind of felt similar. You have to realize that people who wanted Gen 4 remakes, they were waiting for years. The last remakes we got were in 2014, I believe. So it's been about 7-8 years since we had remakes, and I think the expectations were really high. You know, when I initially saw Soul Silver, you know, remade Gen 2, that was mind-blowing. In my opinion, I think Soul Silver is still the best Pokemon game to date. Maybe a hot take, but that's what I think. And when I saw Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire remade, I thought those games looked really good as well. They looked just really good. So when I was picturing Gen 4 remakes all the way back in 2014, I don't know what I pictured, but I definitely wasn't picturing this. So I just want to like mention that, you know, it was kind of a letdown, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I don't even care about graphics in games, but the fact that these graphics made me kind of have like negative impressions goes to show that, you know, maybe the direction wasn't what we really wanted or hoped for. Now, with that little tangent out of the way, I do want to say that the graphics are good in some areas in the game, specifically the battle sequences. The battles look pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised. The models are good. When the characters are in their full body models where they look like anime, they look great. They look really good. The battle animations are awesome. Even lame moves like stat change moves like Leer look really good in game. I was really pleasantly surprised with most of the animations in the game. I would say there was only 1 or 2 animations, and I can't remember what the moves were, but there were only 1 or 2 animations in the game where I was like, that's kind of lame looking. So they did a really good job making battles feel exciting and battles looking, you know, like epic battles. The environments are really solid. A lot of the gym leaders have really cool like boss room environments for the battles, and I think they did a really good job there. The lighting and the shading in the game, it's decent. Sometimes it's a little too moody for my taste, and sometimes they kind of missed like the whole idea of what it should look like. A big one that stood out to me was like Eterna Forest. When I went in there, I was expecting to see like lots of shadows from the trees and then like the light peeking through, and that would have really been like an awesome vibe for that location, but they totally missed it on that one. So I don't know, in some areas it's like, wow, like good job. The surfing looks awesome. Like when you surf, it's like, wow, that looks cool. Like the way the water moves around like your Pokemon, it's like, dude, that's cool. So like I said, graphics is a totally mixed bag. Sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's just not. Alright, next we're talking about the soundtrack. And the soundtrack is, I think this is where everybody was really skeptical. The soundtrack, I'm proud to say the soundtrack is good. It's really good. I was so skeptical going into it because I had heard some stuff online before release, and I was like, oh my gosh, please no, like they're gonna botch the whole thing. And historically, they've done really good with like the remake music, and they nailed it, man. I will say, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I would say about 90% of the soundtrack is superior to the original, and 10% is actually like not as good. I am sad to announce that Jubilife City just isn't as good as the original, and neither is Eterna City. Those are both really good bops, and they're just not as good. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. The good news is, though, that all the other bops that you were looking forward to are way better, and they sound phenomenal. Route 209, an absolute classic, sounds so good. Bike theme. You know, I was really nervous that they were going to mess up the bike theme, but they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. The lake theme literally, truly transcends even this game. People who've never played Diamond and Pearl know the lake theme, and oh, dude, it sounds awesome. In my chat, pretty much shared similar opinions to me. Like, we would all, every time we'd encounter a new iconic song from the game, we'd stop everything, we'd turn the volume all the way up and just listen, and we all kind of had similar opinions. Matt Cornett is another really, really good one. They really captured like the sense of urgency and just how cinematic and epic that moment of the story is. And dude, it was so good. It was so good. I think we are all relieved to know that the sound sounds good. And slight spoiler, double tap the screen or press the forward arrow if you don't want to hear this. But once you beat the game, you know, once you beat the champion, you get something called the DS Sounds, which allows you to listen to the original versions, which is really cool. A little side thing here that I want to talk about is I was pleasantly surprised with the online features of this game. I feel like Pokemon has always been a game where it's like, yeah, you can trade with your friends and battle your friends, and that's cool and all. You know, no complaints there. But sometimes there's a little bit to be desired when it comes to playing Pokemon with your friends. And I feel like this game scratches that itch quite well. The Underground, which is an iconic and famous feature from this game, where you can go underground and mine for resources and build a secret base of your own, returns in this game. And in this game, they added like a new twist to it where you can like catch Pokemon down there that you might not be able to find above the ground. And you can just roam the whole thing with your friends. You can squad up with the boys, run around the underground, mine together. You can even mine with your friends, catch Pokemon together, and check out each other's bases. It's a whole lot of fun. And I think it really reminds me that, you know, Pokemon is a franchise where they can do so much more with multiplayer. It really blows me away that the devs really haven't taken the opportunity to do so much more with the multiplayer aspects of Pokemon. Have they not seen the success of like every Pokemon MMO? Like, they all do so well. Alright, I feel like so far I've painted the game in a really positive light, but now I want to get into nitpicks, things that I didn't like about the game. Things that kind of made me sad and disappointed. The first thing is that there are no Generation 5 and up Pokemon in the game. And it's like, I expected this because, you know, after Sword and Shield said that there weren't going to be all the Pokemon in the game, I was like, there's no way they're going to do that for a remake. I mean, this game isn't even developed by Game Freak. They outsourced it. But it just leaves so much to be desired because historically, Fire Red had Generation 2 and 3 Pokemon in it that you couldn't access before, right? So that was additional Pokemon that weren't in the game previously. And Soul Silver did the same thing. They had Generation 3 and 4, which you couldn't obtain in Generation 2 originally, but you could now. And even Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, you could get any Pokemon up to Generation 6 in that game, when it was a Generation 3 remake. So, I don't know what I expected. I'm not saying I expected every Pokemon all the way up to Generation 8 to appear, but it would have been nice to just get a little bit, just a little bit of some extra. Maybe a few Sword and Shield Pokemon thrown in there, a few Sun and Moon Pokemon thrown in there, a few Black and White Pokemon thrown in there. Just a little bit, just a tiny, tiny bit. But they didn't. And it's disappointing. However, I heard somewhere that they're planning to update the game, so maybe this is something they can explore in the future, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. Apparently they plan to do DLC for this game, which is kind of an exciting idea, and I hope it's not just like, oh haha, Distortion World, you're gonna add Platinum content in here. Once again, that's another nitpick. There's no Platinum content, which is kind of annoying. No, I don't want a Platinum DLC. That should be a free update. The DLC I'm looking for, if I have to pay for it, is something original, something new, something that was not present in Generation 4 at all. Maybe being able to go to Unova and explore one of the cities there, or maybe something like that, maybe a place in the Kalos region, or even the Johto region, just something to really blow us away. I feel like the story, the overarching story for this remake is there's nothing that really blows you away. Everything is standard. Everything is as you expected it to be. Nothing hits you by surprise and makes you go, no way. They did that? That seems so above and beyond. They went above and beyond for this game. No, there's never that moment. This game just feels like they did exactly what was asked of them, and they kind of nailed it, and that's it. Yeah, sure, they did their job, but it's like, this game originally costed $35 back in 2006, so why are you charging me $60 for something that is more or less like an HD update with some additional features? Like, I'm expecting something a little more, a little pizzazz, something to blow me away, and you just don't get that for the price tag. Another small nitpick is also minor spoiler at this point, but we're going to be talking about post-game, so if you haven't played it and you don't want to be spoiled, I think you can click off now. But for people who, you know, want to know everything, I'm going to keep going. The DS sounds, the item you get for completing the champion, it's cool that you can listen to the original soundtrack, but it's not quite up to what we expected. Yes, you can hear it kind of like it sounded on the DS, but it's like compressed, or it sounds like it's coming from like a crappy DS speaker. It's just kind of not that great, but good enough to where it's like, okay, they did add it, you know? And once again, it fits the overarching theme. Yes, they did what they were asked, but it's not blowing my socks away. I want to feel that, the hype, the energy, like wow. And there's just none of that. There's no wow moments. Besides, like, maybe, like, oh, they definitely improved on the music, which is cool, but it's like, come on, man. Like, an improved soundtrack was kind of expected. It wasn't like... All I can say is, if you're wondering if you should buy the game or not, I have to say a big maybe. If you are a Gen 4 nostalgic person, like me, you know, you grew up playing these games, and you have a sweet spot in your heart for these games, yeah, maybe it's worth the $60. I mean, right? If you got a job and, you know, $60 isn't that much to you, then yeah, I think it's worth paying to get that childhood feeling back on a new console. But if you're deciding whether or not to spend that $60 or save it up for the holidays, because, you know, the holidays are coming up, and then the new Pokemon game's coming out, like Legends Arceus is coming out, right? I'd say just save your money and get that instead. I mean, obviously we don't even know if it's good or not, but you get the idea. Like, maybe hold off, right? I don't know. I think 1 or 2 updates really could make this a compelling buy. If they added like platinum content, oh yeah, customizing your character in this game is cool. But also it's one of those things where it's like, okay, they added like 8 or 9 outfits, and it's like, yeah, it's cool, but it's nothing that's like wow. I feel like they could really add like a bunch of new outfits that are like wow, that have like different requirements locked behind them, or maybe they're like dummy expensive, so you have to like do a lot of end game content to get your hands on them. I don't know yet, but I will say that I do have faith in the game. I feel like with updates they can really make a compelling case to where I could say like, yeah, you should probably pick it up. It's pretty good. Another case scenario where I think you should pick it up is if you're in your 20s at this point like I am, and you grew up playing Diamond and Pearl, and you got a lot of friends who grew up playing it, maybe if you can get the whole squad to buy the game, I think it'd be a really compelling buy. Exploring the underground with your friends is awesome, and it's truly a fun experience that I can't quite describe. It's not going to provide you like hundreds of hours of content like a modern multiplayer game would, but it's definitely going to be enough to, you know, make some new memories and remember the good times, but alongside your friends. I really do think it can do that for you. Overall, that kind of summarizes how I feel about the remakes. I had fun. I really did. I don't regret my purchase. I am happy that I bought the game, and I would do it again. Like, I mean, I wouldn't spend another $60, but you know what I mean? Like, there's just no regrets with this purchase for me personally. You know, something that stood out to me while I was streaming this game, because I streamed literally 3 8 to 9 hour sessions to beat this game in 3 days. I had so many countless people hopping into my chat asking if they should buy it or not. I think that's a testament that shows that there's a lot of people who are on the fence about this game. There's a lot of people who want to have faith and believe that this could potentially be a good buy and a worthwhile purchase, but they just feel so burnt and betrayed by the recent Pokemon titles that they're reluctant to pull the trigger. And I feel you on that. So, should you fork it out? Should you buy it? Or is it better to just, legally emulate it on your computer? It's like, honestly, dude, like, I don't know. Something that just occurred to me while I was editing this is that shouldn't be a question that you have to ask. Heart Gold and Soul Silver is the definitive way to play Generation 2. There is no reason to play the original whatsoever. And the same thing goes for Fire Red and Leaf Green. And the fact that this game couldn't provide the definitive Sinnoh experience is something that Game Freak should be ashamed of. They really should. I hate to say it. I'm not trying to say that you should not buy the game because of that reason, but I am saying that the fact that you have to question is honestly just sad. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, which I don't like doing, I always hate like out of 10 ratings, I think I'd give it like a 7, because it's like, not bad. I think a bad game would get a 6, but it's also not like really good, and that's where you would get like an 8 or a 9 or a 10. So it's a 7. It gets the job done. It scratches that nostalgic itch, worth even a 7.5. It's just okay, but you will be pleasantly surprised along the way in a few small ways. Alright, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. Oh yeah, post-game content. You can catch a lot of legendaries that are not present in this game, including like Ho-Oh and Lugia, which is kind of cool, if you complete the Sinnoh Pokedex and then head on over to Ramona Island, I believe it's called. So there's some like small like additional game content like that, and then there's like the battle tower and stuff. So even if after you beat the game there is stuff to do, which is nice. Yeah, we'll just have to see how they handle, DLC. I'm willing to fork over, $10-15 if they make something, truly spectacular, but we'll see. Alright, that's about it. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you want more reviews. This is my second review, kind of just talking like I'm talking to a bro, keeping it chill, keeping it casual. I reviewed Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl as my first one. And I don't know, this could be a series, I'm not sure. I like doing them, so we'll see. But yeah, see you next time. Bye-bye.